These 6 animals are still alive right now, but if nothing changes, they won't be for much longer. And the worst part? Most people have never even heard of half of them. While everyone talks about saving the rainforest, these creatures are quietly disappearing from our oceans, and the clock is running out faster than most scientists expected. The ocean covers more than 70% of our planet. It's massive, it's deep, and it's full of life that most of us will never get to see in person. But right now, that life is disappearing at a rate that should genuinely scare you. We're not talking about animals that might be in trouble in 100 years. We're talking about species that are so close to the edge right now that some of them have populations in the double digits. A few dozen animals left on the entire planet. That's it. I put together this list of 6 marine animals that are on the very edge of extinction because I think more people need to know their names, understand what's happening to them, and actually care. So let's go through all 6 of them. Here's what makes ocean extinction different from land animal extinction, and why it's actually harder to fix. When a land animal starts going extinct, we can see it. We can set up cameras, count the animals, protect specific areas of land, and monitor what's happening. It's not easy, but it's visible. The ocean is different. It's vast, it's deep, and most of it is almost impossible for us to monitor properly. Animals can be disappearing, and we might not even know until the population is already critically low. By the time scientists confirm how bad things are, there are sometimes only a handful of animals left. And the threats these animals face aren't just 1 or 2 things. It's a combination of things hitting them all at once. Fishing nets catching them by accident, climate change warming and acidifying the water, pollution, habitat destruction, boat strikes, and in some cases, direct hunting that is still happening even now. The 6 animals I'm about to talk to you about are facing all of that, and most of them don't have much time left. Number 1, the vaquita. If you only remember one animal from this entire video, make it this one. The vaquita is a small porpoise, a dolphin-like animal, and it lives only in one place on the entire planet, a small area at the very top of the Gulf of California off the coast of Mexico. Nowhere else. That is its entire world. As of the most recent estimates, there are believed to be fewer than 10 vaquitas left alive. Some estimates put the number as low as 6 or 8. This is not a species that is endangered. This is a species that is one bad year away from being completely gone forever. The vaquita is small, about 4 to 5 feet long, with dark patches around its eyes and mouth that almost look like it is wearing makeup. It is considered the world's smallest cetacean, the group that includes dolphins, porpoises, and whales. And it is almost gone. The main reason the vaquita is dying is illegal fishing. There is a fish called the totawaba that also lives in the Gulf of California. The totawaba's swim bladder, an organ inside the fish, is worth an enormous amount of money on the black market in China, where it is used in traditional medicine. To catch totawaba, fishermen use large gill nets, walls of nearly invisible net that hang in the water. Vaquitas swim into these nets, get tangled, cannot get to the surface to breathe, and they drown. The Mexican government has tried to ban gill net fishing in the area. There have been conservation efforts, international attention, everything. But the illegal fishing has not stopped, and the vaquita population has crashed from around 600 animals in the 1990s to where it is today. There are people working around the clock trying to save this animal. But realistically, the window is almost closed. The vaquita might be the first cetacean species to go extinct in modern times, and it will happen because of illegal fishing for a different animal entirely. Sea turtles have been on this planet for over 100 million years. They survived whatever killed the dinosaurs, and right now, they are losing to us. The hawksbill sea turtle is one of the most beautiful sea turtles you will ever see. It has a narrow pointed beak, which is where the name comes from, and its shell has a stunning pattern of overlapping scales in amber, brown, and gold. That shell is the exact reason it is in so much trouble. For centuries, hawksbill shells were used to make jewelry, hair accessories, decorative items, and luxury goods. It was called tortoiseshell, and it was incredibly valuable. Even though the trade in hawksbill products was banned internationally in 1994, illegal trade still continues, and centuries of hunting already took a massive toll on the population. Hawksbill sea turtles are currently listed as critically endangered. Their global population has dropped by an estimated 80% over the last century. The numbers vary by region, but in many parts of the world where they used to be common, they are now extremely rare. On top of the historical hunting, hawksbills face a whole list of modern threats. They nest on beaches, and those beaches are being developed into hotels and resorts. Artificial lights from buildings confuse baby turtles when they hatch because the hatchlings instinctively move toward the brightest light. In nature, that light is the reflection of the moon on the ocean. Now it is often a building or a road. Plastic pollution is another massive problem because sea turtles eat jellyfish, and plastic bags floating in the water look almost identical to jellyfish from below. Hawksbills also eat sponges that grow on coral reefs, which means they need healthy coral reefs to survive. And coral reefs are bleaching and dying because of climate change and warming oceans. Everything that is going wrong with the ocean is going wrong for the hawksbill sea turtle at the same time. The name right whale comes from whalers who considered it the right whale to hunt. It was slow, it floated when it died, and it had a lot of oil. So they hunted it almost to total extinction. Commercial whaling of North Atlantic. Right whales has been banned for decades now, but the population has not recovered. In fact, it is still going down. There are currently estimated to be around 350 to 400 North Atlantic right whales left in the entire world. These are enormous animals. Adults can reach up to 52 feet long and weigh up to 70 tons. They are one of the largest animals on Earth, and there are only about 350 of them left. The reason the population is not recovering comes down to two main killers: fishing gear entanglement and vessel strikes. Right whales migrate along the east coast of North America, and that coastline is one of the busiest shipping corridors in the world. Large cargo ships and tankers move through these waters constantly, and right whales move slowly and spend a lot of time at or near the surface. When a ship hits a right whale, the whale usually does not survive. Even if it does, the injuries are severe. Fishing gear entanglement is even more of a problem. Right whales get tangled in the vertical ropes that connect lobster and crab traps on the ocean floor to the buoys on the surface. These ropes run through the water column, and whales swim through them and get caught. A tangled whale can drag gear for months, and the ropes cut into their bodies over time, causing infection and exhaustion. Many of them die slowly. What makes the situation even more heartbreaking is that scientists can identify individual right whales by the patterns on their heads, and they track these animals by name. When a right whale dies, the conservation community knows exactly who it was, and the number of calves being born is not keeping up with the number of adults dying. Number 4. The SEI whale. Most people have not heard of it, which is part of the problem. The SEI whale is one of the fastest whales in the world, capable of reaching speeds of around 30 miles per hour in short bursts. It is a large baleen whale, meaning it filters small fish and tiny shrimp-like creatures called copepods through plates in its mouth instead of having teeth. Adults can grow to around 60 feet long and weigh up to 28 tons. Like many large whales, the sei whale was hunted extensively during the commercial whaling era of the 20th century, when whalers had already reduced populations of blue whales and fin whales to low numbers. They turned their attention to sei whales. In the 1960s alone, tens of thousands of sei whales were killed. The global population was decimated. Sei whales are currently listed as endangered, with global population estimates ranging from around 50,000 to 80,000 animals. That sounds like a big number compared to the right whale, but before industrial whaling, there were estimated to be several 100,000 of them. The population is a fraction of what it once was. Sei whales are also particularly sensitive to climate change because they follow their food, and their food follows cold, nutrient-rich water. As ocean temperatures shift, the distribution of copepods and small fish changes, and sei whales have to travel further and into less familiar areas to find enough to eat. This makes them more likely to encounter fishing gear and ship traffic in areas they do not normally use. Recovery is happening, but it is slow, very slow. Any additional pressure on the population, whether from climate change or accidental bycatch, could push things in the wrong direction. Number 5. The staghorn coral. I know what you're thinking. A coral is not an animal, but it actually is, sort of. Coral reefs are built by tiny animals called coral polyps, and the reef itself is essentially their structure, their home, and their skeleton. Staghorn coral is one of the most important reef-building corals in the Caribbean and the Atlantic, and it is critically endangered. Staghorn coral looks exactly like what the name suggests, branching structures that look like the antlers of a stag. It used to be incredibly common across Caribbean reefs and could grow into large, dense thickets that provided shelter for hundreds of species of fish and other sea creatures. It was one of the foundational species of Caribbean reef ecosystems. Since the 1970s, staghorn coral populations have declined by over 80% across the Caribbean. The causes are multiple and relentless. Coral bleaching, which happens when water gets too warm and the coral expels the algae that lives inside it and gives it its color, has hit staghorn coral hard. Without that algae, the coral starves and dies, leaving behind white, ghostly skeletons. On top of bleaching, staghorn coral is vulnerable to a disease called stony coral tissue loss disease, which spreads quickly through reefs and kills coral rapidly. Water pollution from runoff carries fertilizers and chemicals from land into the ocean, which causes algae to grow over coral and smother it. Physical damage from boat anchors, storm surges made worse by climate change, and crown of thorns starfish eating through reefs all add to the pressure. When staghorn coral disappears, it does not just affect one animal. It affects everything that depends on the reef, from the small fish that use it as a nursery, to the larger fish that eat those fish, to the sharks and rays at the top of the food chain. The reef is a whole world, and staghorn coral is one of the walls holding it up. Number 6. The Irrawaddy dolphin. The Irrawaddy dolphin does not look like what most people picture when they think of a dolphin. It has a blunt, rounded head with no beak, and its face often looks permanently surprised. It lives in coastal areas, estuaries, and some river systems across Southeast Asia and parts of South Asia. There are several subpopulations of Irrawaddy dolphins, and some of them are in critical condition. The population in the Mekong River, which flows through countries like Cambodia and Laos, is one of the most endangered freshwater dolphin populations in the world, with estimates of fewer than 90 animals remaining. The population in Malampaya Sound in the Philippines is also critically small. Irrawaddy dolphins face a range of threats depending on where they live. Gillnet entanglement is a major cause of death, the same as the vaquita. These dolphins live close to where people fish, so accidental capture in fishing nets is a constant danger. Upstream dams on rivers like the Mekong have changed water flow, reduced fish populations, and physically fragmented dolphin habitats. Noise pollution from boat traffic disrupts the dolphin's ability to communicate and navigate. Water quality in many of the areas where Irrawaddy dolphins live has declined sharply due to agricultural and industrial runoff. One of the things that makes the Irrawaddy dolphin particularly special is its relationship with certain fishing communities in Cambodia and Myanmar. In some places, these dolphins cooperate with fishermen, herding fish toward nets in exchange for a share of the catch. This behavior has been documented for generations, a rare example of humans and wild animals working together. But even that connection has not been enough to protect them. Here's what I want you to sit with for a second. Every single one of these animals was doing fine before humans showed up and changed things. The vaquita was not endangered 100 years ago. North Atlantic right whales were not on the edge of extinction before whaling fleets hunted them down. Staghorn coral covered Caribbean reefs for thousands of years before we started warming the oceans and dumping pollution into the water. We created these problems, and in most cases, we know exactly what is causing them. We are not confused about why the vaquita is dying. We know it is the gillnets. We are not confused about why right whales are dying. We know it is the ropes and the ships. We know climate change is bleaching coral. We know all of this. The hard question is not what is causing it. The hard question is whether enough people care enough to actually do something about it. Because conservation is not just about governments making laws, even though that matters. It is also about ordinary people understanding what is happening and deciding that it matters to them. When more people know about the vaquita, there is more pressure to stop illegal fishing. When more people understand how right whales are dying, there is more pressure to change how fishing gear is designed. Awareness genuinely moves things. That is not a feel-good line. It is actually how conservation victories have happened. Public pressure, public awareness, and people caring enough to make noise about it. So here are the 6 marine animals that are right on the edge right now. The vaquita, possibly the most endangered marine mammal on Earth, with fewer than 10 left. The hawksbill sea turtle, critically endangered from centuries of hunting and a long list of modern threats. The North Atlantic right whale, still dying faster than it is reproducing, despite whaling being banned for decades. The SE whale, still recovering from industrial scale hunting and now facing climate-driven changes to its food supply. Staghorn coral, which has lost over 80% of its population and holds entire reef ecosystems together. And the Irrawaddy dolphin, with some populations down to fewer than 90 animals in rivers that humans have been modifying for generations. These are real animals, alive right now, that most people have never thought about for a single second, and some of them might not make it to the next decade. I'm not telling you that to make you feel hopeless. I'm telling you because knowing is the first step, and you now know. What you do with that is up to you. Subscribe so you do not miss the next one.